Welcome to the October 22nd edition of Give Me 5 Minutes with Fort Smith City Director Neil Martin, where we look at the events that happened last week and we look ahead to what's going on this week. So let's go ahead and get after it. Give me 5. This last Tuesday, October 17th, we had a study session. We reviewed a number of items that I'll talk about, but I encourage you to go to fortsmithar.gov/watch. There you can see the full agenda. You can watch the meeting and see how we discussed each item on the agenda. So the first thing we received was the proposed budget. This is the budget for 2024. We've got this version here, which is the budget only. But what I like is this thick budget, which includes literally every spending item. So if someone wants to buy a computer, someone wants to buy an iPad, we've got all of that detail here. So I really enjoy going through this, and this is what I'll be spending the next few weeks going over as we as a board prepare for our budget session coming up sometime in November. We also heard a couple of appeals to Planning Commission decisions, and we'll be actually voting on those appeals at our meeting this coming Tuesday. We talked about cybersecurity insurance, and we also looked at capital improvement plans for streets, bridges, and drainage. That's 1% sales tax that you voted on, or the city's voted on. 5-year capital improvement plan for parks, that's 1/8 cent sales tax. 5-year capital improvement plan for fire department, that's another 8 cent. And a 10-year capital improvement plan for streets and traffic control, along with sidewalk program. I really love the sidewalk program. We also heard about the transit management plan. So those were the items on the agenda. I encourage you to pay attention to those things. A lot of interesting discussion, especially around those capital improvement plans. On October 24th, we have a regular board meeting, which means we'll be voting on a number of items. I'll only be talking about some of the highlights, but I encourage you to go to fortsmithar.gov/watch and you can see that full agenda. It'll also be at the Blue Line, 101 North 2nd Street in downtown Fort Smith. So the items that we will be considering, first will be a ordinance relating to revenue bonds for Owens Corning. This allows Owens Corning to save on property taxes, and it's usually for companies that are having a major expansion. And in this case, we had approved one for $115 million. This is going to be raising it to not to exceed $240 million. So you can see a significant investment on behalf of Owens Corning. So we'll be voting on that. We will be voting to overturn or approve a couple items from the Planning Commission. We talked about that in our study session last week. Probably one of the biggest items is we will be voting to continue and expand on a residential housing building moratorium. If you remember a couple years ago, on behalf of the F-35 mission, we enacted a moratorium on residential building. We are extending that for a couple more years, but we're also expanding it. Now there's some options available in the expanded area, but we're going to be extending that out, or voting to extend that out for a couple years. So that's very interesting, and I know I've talked to a number of developers about this very thing, so I know they're watching this heavily. We will be voting on a few items concerning Creekmore Park. We'll be voting whether we install a basketball court or we do a patio and sidewalk amenity. So we had talked about a basketball court, and it's kind of the area, the location they're wanting to do a basketball court was kind of a rough, probably a difficult spot, and the board expressed concern about that. So we're going to get the option of doing that or changing it to a patio and other sidewalk improvements around that. So there'll be some discussion about that item. We'll also be voting on a project for construction at Tillis Park, which will include tearing down and repairing the existing basketball court and putting a seamless court there, new goals, those types of things. Also will install new disc golf tee pads, so that'll be important for those disc golfers out there. And we'll also have another item related to Creekmore Park. This will be voting to purchase and install playground amenities. So a toddler play area, artificial turf mounds with integrated bench seating, multi-swing bay, which were taken out when we did the playground area revisions, and then also rubber surfacing in this new play area. So that money comes from our 1/8 sales tax for parks that we were trying to improve and modernize our parks and make them better for our citizens. So those are the items. I encourage you to pay attention. You can always watch at fortsmithar.gov, but I encourage you to come out to the Blue Lion. We'd love to get a chance to meet you, and you can hear some of the proceedings that go on. That's it for this week's Give Me 5. I appreciate you watching this video. I hope it made you more aware of the items in front of your board of directors. I hope you have a great week, and we'll do this again next Sunday on Give Me 5.